on the News Channel 5 network. This is the Takacs McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour.
Good morning and welcome to Takacs McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour. I'm Barbara McGinnis. Just like always, today we're going to be talking about issues that relate to advanced age, chronic illness, and unexpected illness and disability.
And I'm your co-host, Tim Takacs, and in this segment, we are joined by Amber Lovelady, who is the Director of Investor Education for the state of Tennessee, to learn about the different types of investment fraud. Our topic today is elder abuse, elder exploitation, financial exploitation, and we have an expert on that today from the state of Tennessee. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you for having me.
So what is investment fraud?
So on its most basic, investment fraud is going to be the fraudulent selling of investments, or the seeding and selling of investments, or the advising of investments. So the selling is going to be when someone makes up a company and says, oh, you need to invest in this company that doesn't exist.
Gotcha.
While your advising is going to be when someone says, oh, this is a guaranteed investment. Well, there's nothing guaranteed with investing, so.
So selling, advising, and then what was the other one?
No, just selling and advising,
selling
but
and advising.
It's either that fraudulent aspect or the deception with it.
Okay.
It's really based on the intent.
So who usually commits investment fraud?
So this is such an interesting question because I think we all have expectations of what that person looks like, right? But it really could be anyone, and it could be anything, even the most advanced, the least advanced. So what we always encourage our Tennessee investors to do is just really know your investments and research that ahead of time. Just be careful with what you're investing in, and ask questions and be smart about it, and that should be a good way to defend yourself.
So when you say when we ask like who usually commits them, are we talking about people who are like ordinary banks or financial institutions or whatever? Are we talking about like a special type of criminal, or? I guess what I'm getting at is that, I mean,
what are their qualities, perhaps?
Yeah, or you know, we know there's a lot of financial institutions in the area.
Sure.
I mean, are those the ones that are really doing this, or are we talking about like outlier people, or you know, other people that maybe are kind of just sort of sketchy?
And I think that's the point of saying it could be anyone or anything, because we definitely see it all across the board. But I think some of the characteristics we really see are people that are very pushy people, aggressive people, really forcing you to have this investment. They want you to make a decision quickly.
Okay, that's good.
And that sort of thing. And people who don't want you to ask questions, who are not any probably legitimate business, they're going to have the answers to your question, right? Like if you ask, what does this paper look like? Can you explain this to me? Can you help me understand this? They're going to be able to. And your more fraudulent practices are going to be individuals who really can't, because they're not intending to make something legitimate to begin with.
Okay.
Right. And the goal is not for you to understand your investment. The goal is for you to sign here so they can make money.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not like it's not like big XYZ bank in downtown Nashville generally that it's doing these sorts of things.
I always am careful. I don't want to say that it's.
I know we don't want to say that. That's why I don't want to pick out some particular bank, because you never know. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume. Let's just assume that the big banks or whatever it is, that's not really who we're looking at here.
That's not typically who we see.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So what are some common investment scams that you're seeing out there?
So I think with technology, they're changing all the time, right? We're seeing all different types, but our foundational ones that everything comes from is going to be your pyramid schemes, your Ponzi schemes, affinity fraud, and churning. But your really big ones are your pyramid schemes and your Ponzi schemes.
Pyramids and Ponzis. So
Ponzi is going to be your robbing from Peter to pay Paul concept. It's where you're paying off an old debt with new money. That's your Bernie Madoff, right? That is how that looks. While your pyramid scheme is this business model where you make money from recruiting people and not selling the product. That's what that looks like. It's really, you can't make money purely on the product alone. It's going to be that, and it topples down because eventually the product's too saturated and there's not people buying it, and there's not people recruiting it anymore, and that's how it collapses.
Those are interesting. You see those a lot.
Yes.
So what about annuities? I know people always worry about annuities. And older people think annuities are great things because they don't really like being in the stock market so much, and it's a little bit more guaranteed. But in our business anyway, we do have a lot of clients that have been advised to buy annuities. Maybe it's so that they can qualify for a public benefit, or maybe it's just the security of a long-term investment. So how could this potentially be fraudulent or a scam?
Sure. And so we always want to, the question we ask to figure that is this fraudulent, when we look at it, is really, is this a suitable investment for someone? And so sometimes what we see is this annuity expands longer than their lifespan. So this is your 100-year-old that gets a 20-year annuity that perhaps that doesn't really make sense. That's really where we see that could get into that fraudulent aspect. But
or if at least not fraudulent, maybe at least unethical,
yes,
right?
Yes, and it's not suitable.
Right.
So
that's one sign, you know, maybe is just the longevity of it is, so that's a sign of an investment scam or a fraud.
And then annuities have to be registered. They are an insurance product. They have to be registered with our office as well as the person selling it. And that's another huge red flag is if you look for this person that's selling you this product and they're not licensed. That's another huge thing we see.
So how do you know that they're not licensed? Do you ask them or did they tell you?
So I'm sure you could ask them and they might tell you, but always you can call our offices. We can look for that for you. You can go to brokercheck.com. That's run through FINRA, and you can
FINRA is?
Oh, yes.
Help me out with there.
So that is...
I think I know what it is, but our viewers probably don't know what FINRA.
I know, and then what does that stand for?
Financial something.
Yes, exactly.
Is that it?
It is. It's like it's the regulatory authority over broker-dealers.
And just so everybody knows, it's FINRA. So I guess if you Google on or you put that in your search engine, it'll come up.
And brokercheck.org is really what is going to come up to help you.
Gotcha.
So you're looking for them to be licensed, you're looking at the longevity of the investment. Does it make sense for them in relationship to the rest of their money, so to speak? And then that you have a licensed or registered agent.
And that the product is licensed with us.
The product is licensed
So
as
both
well.
have to be registered.
What are some other things that you may be looking for, you know, or you know, that a potential investor may be looking for that are maybe sort of signs of maybe I should run away from this, or maybe at least contact your office?
So one, like we talked about, this researching. I really do think that prevention aspect is the most important. Like, not only are they licensed, Google them, because a lot of times what we see is a scam will start in another state and they'll just cross lines and they'll just come to another city. And so your Better Business Bureau, like, just do a quick Google search and with their name and see what's coming up about them. I think also asking for your documentation. If it's a legitimate business, they should be able to send you any business plan, prospectus. Is there any misspellings on it? Like, does it look like it was made in a hurry? Does it look like there was some thought put into it? Are there grammatical mistakes with it? I think some of that. And then the aspect of this pushing. I think that's always a huge tell, is if you're going to miss out if you don't invest in this immediately. Like, you trust me, really lean into me, like, believe me. You don't need to worry about logic here, like, and do you understand it? That's the other piece too, is if you don't understand what you're investing in, then don't invest in it.
I think that's really good advice. What are some other tips to avoid investment scams?
So a couple of things that we tell, especially because we find that the people who really catch this a lot of times are the kids. It's not always going to be the senior. And so, like, check their bank statements. Like, really check your financial returns. Like, how often is things being traded? What's going on with that? Really be keeping track of your investments. Don't just ignore them for a period. And just really do your research and checking if they're licensed. And I would say 90% of the time, really what we see, or most of the time, I don't know if 90%, that may be too high, but most of the time the people that are scamming people are unlicensed. So I just cannot reiterate that enough.
So So let's say I've been scammed, or my, a friend or my loved one has been scammed. What are my options then?
So your options are first contact our offices, the Securities Division. You can contact us.
The Securities Division.
In Commerce and Insurance.
Okay.
And we have an investigations unit that can investigate into this.
Okay.
And you also can contact the police, and you can do a civil suit. Those are really your options.
Okay, so police, your office, Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance.
And this,
Yeah, and
Securities
then
Division.
maybe Metro or whatever, local police department.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Adult Protective Services, maybe not?
So Adult Protective Services, they have to have government funds tied into it.
Okay.
So a lot of times that's not really what we're dealing with.
Gotcha.
What's the likelihood of folks getting their money back if they've been scammed?
So it's really unlikely, and we really want people to understand that, because I think an individual who's scamming you probably spends it as soon as they get it.
Right.
But a lot of times we don't have the authority to go and do that.
Which is why the most important thing is investor education.
Exactly, that prevention
Don't
aspect.
get scammed.
Yes.
Then you won't get, you won't run across this problem.
Exactly.
Maybe the scammer will be punished, but who knows whether you'll get your money back.
Exactly.
Is that right? But
we want to make sure, a lot of times the scammers will repeatedly do it.
Yeah.
And so report it, because you want to prevent it from happening to someone else too.
Okay, well, we're talking to Amber Lovelady, the Director of Investigative Education in the state of Tennessee. Amber, we're going to put your contact information up here to file a complaint. See where we're looking at the monitor here, 741-5900, or there's this very long URL there.
Yeah.
So I guess you put in Tennessee, file a complaint, or whatever it is, and it'll come up.
Yeah, search Securities
Can we
Division.
put your phone? Can we put your name in there?
Sure.
Put your name up there, and then we'll find you. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
All right, Amber. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for your time. Yeah.
And for sharing the information you have. And so please stay with us when we come back. We'll be speaking with the Nashville Metro Police Department, or at least somebody there from Metro. So stay with us.